every organisation doesn't only need strategies to achieve the vision or the goals of the organisation, but they need ways of constantly renewing and revitalising the product and services that they have to make sure that they're continually relevant to the customer base. And we do a lot of work on product and service level innovation and service redesign within public sector organisations. But we wouldn't really be walking our talk if we didn't also innovate within our own offer. So one of the things that I'm really pleased about is that Meus has put together a number of products and services that I think bring something genuinely new and different to the marketplace. One example of that is organisational constellations, which is a radical process for helping people in communities as well as in businesses really get to the root of problems that keep recurring, that are difficult to understand and to get to grips with, and to really see what is happening at the heart of some of the most difficult and pressing problems that organisations and communities have. Another example of where we've undertaken product and service innovation has been in what we call our Spark Catcher offer, which is a process for bringing together professionals such as organisational development consultants, internal and external consultants, HR professionals who need to learn what is at the leading edge of their field. And our Spark Catcher series of learning groups really inspire people, fill them with new ideas and get them working in ways that they hadn't previously been able to do. When I was doing my own doctoral research, I mean, that gave me a passion for really understanding the subjects that I'm interested in at depth. But it taught me how to gather information. It taught me how to select the right information and how to focus and use information productively. And therefore, when we engage on projects, we don't just come as experts who've got the answer and can tell you it. Of course, we've got deep experience and we've got insights that we believe in and that we've tried and tested over time. But we try to approach every project as though it's new and it's different. It is, in fact, the whole field of the client relationship and the market and all of the variables impinging on a project is different. So we come to every project with a fresh pair of eyes and with a wish not just to offer something but to learn with our clients in the process. So because we do a lot of work which is breaking new ground, you can't innovate if you're always coming from an expert base. Our expertise is in people processes, in how to get people to be more engaged and productive, aware, and to contribute more effectively. But we rely on the expertise of our clients and experts that we might draw in to collaborate so that we can learn together, so that the learning process always involves research. And we're always looking at our own practice. We document our own practice. We try to see what it is that we're good at, what we're not so good at. We try to report what we're learning through blogs and through white papers and through conference platform speeches. So the research process for us is not some dry, dusty academic exercise. We're always trying to get deeper into the guts of our work and see what works and improve what works. That's what we understand by research. Fundamentally, it's action research. It's research that isn't about books. It's actually about working with people in real situations where there's a need and that you can add value together. As I've looked over the years at the inner journey of transformation, the way that leaders and citizens, ordinary people, courageously go about trying to make a difference, one of the insights that I had was that you cannot make a difference without conflict. You have to be able to create heat and take heat as a leader. And those are some of the leadership capacities I think, that don't often get talked about in the management literature. But I'm not talking about interpersonal conflict. I think that there are three kinds of conflict, really. There's relationship conflict, which is where you just don't like someone. There's task conflict, where the disagreement is fundamentally not over the other person, but over what it is that you're both trying to do together. You might have different ideas about what you're trying to achieve. And then there's process conflict, which is the disagreement about how you go around trying to collaborate. And I think that two of those three forms of conflict are really important. I think that leaders need to be able to creatively use conflict to achieve collective ends. But even outside of the corporate context, and how leaders need to be catalysts of change by creating constructive disagreement and facing into difficulty without which nothing changes. Even if you look at your own personal transformation, you cannot change anything about yourself at any meaningful level unless you're prepared to put up with a bit of an inner fight. There's always a struggle, there's always the inner critic, you know, the devil on your shoulder that says, you'll never be able to do that, you're joking, aren't you? And you've got to be able to courageously look at your own demons and tackle your own limitations. And that, in a journey, is a journey where the conflict is about the images that you have of yourself and what you're capable of. And you've got to be able to deal with that particular kind of inner conflict without which nothing changes. Nothing is achieved if people can't form a trusting relationship. And yet, it's difficult in given organisational politics and given the histories that different communities have for trust to flow freely. One of the things that we concentrate on, whatever the project that we're engaged in, is building up the quality of trust between people so that it enables them to do the work that they're there for. And when you look at trust, it's an interesting thing, because I believe that you have to give trust in order to get it. Now, most people think that trust is something that has to be earned, and for sure trust takes time. But if you aren't willing to have the courage to give trust, to initiate that significant step forward into vulnerability in a relationship, you don't get anywhere. Having given trust, of course, trust can be broken. So part of what we do when we work with trust is to look at how to heal breaches in trust, how to create trust, and how to maintain trust. These are fundamental skills on any project and fundamental skills in any human relationship. And trust is one of the main benefits, I think, of how we work. Our work results in more trusting relationships. It oils the wheels so that after we're gone from a company, the relationships that we've helped create and maintain and support can continue. It is sometimes difficult to open people's hearts. That's basically what we're talking about when we're inviting them to take a step forward into a trusting relationship. Because nobody wants to be hurt. And there is such a lot of fear and uncertainty and doubt and suspicion between different layers of management in an organisation and between the staff and the organisation. You know, there's such a them and us mentality very often, which is why we place such importance on honest, authentic communication, which is why we place so much importance on walking the talk and being direct with people and clean and clear, which is why we place so much importance on working with conflict and potential conflict and resistance to change in organisations. You know, without those fundamental skills, it's difficult for anyone to trust another person or a team sufficiently for there to be a good collaborative relationship. So because there's very often a lack of trust and a resistance to change initiatives in organisations, that makes it especially important that leaders lead clearly and directly and from the front, and that communication, not just from leaders but across the whole organisation, is consistent, coherent and timely. Many of us are so resistant to change is that we feel manipulated and that we don't feel listened to and we don't feel our views are respected. We feel that we're like in a parent-child situation where we're the child and the senior manager is saying, you must do this. Very often I don't think people in organisations have been treated as adults and have had the rationale for change sufficiently put to them. They haven't been listened to. They haven't had their ideas valued or even considered. Even if the ideas don't have any value, they haven't been attended to. They don't feel that they've made a contribution or that there is a place for their contribution in the change process. You know, there are all sorts of reasons why people resist change. So there's a very clear link for me between change management, corporate communications, learning and development and innovation. And when you get trusting relationships, when people are relaxed with one another, you're much more likely to get good quality ideas. Nobody comes up with their best ideas. Nobody comes up with their best performance if they're tense. So you have to relax people. And how can that happen if you don't feel that you can have your voice heard, that you don't have clear direction? How can that happen if you don't feel that your contribution, as modest as it is still important to the overall success? So a lot of the way that we work with change integrates our other disciplines of innovation and communications and development work.